Welcome to Gaming Trends, the watch list for the week of January 29th through February 4th. My name is Anthony Shelton. Every Saturday, I tell you about the games you need to waste your time on that come out next week. Some games you may know, some you won't, but every game has been researched and has earned a place in the watch list. That doesn't mean you'll end up loving them, but you should give them your time. Every game is timestamped so you can jump to the one you're interested in. Let's get started. Skipping over to January 31st, the end of January doesn't bring a new season, but it does bring a game called Season, a letter to the future. The description reads, quote, "Leave home for the first time to collect memories before a mysterious cataclysm washes everything away. Ride, record, meet people, and unravel the strange world around you. Immerse yourself in the world of Season, a third-person atmospheric adventure bicycle road trip game," end quote. I got to play this the day before they suddenly removed the demo from Steam, but it left a positive impression on me. This isn't a game with action and puzzles that make you think, but it kind of creates a difficulty by forcing you to creatively multitask. You take pictures and you record audio so you can capture the history of the world before the cataclysm happens. So you're looking for pictures to take and audio to capture, and I found myself focusing on taking pictures and almost missing the sounds that were around me. And so I wonder, and I am hoping, that this is how Scavenger Studio challenges you. Can you open your mind wide enough to capture the sights and sounds of this world? I think that's a really interesting way to give a challenge to players and still keep the vibe very chill. And it wouldn't be a good photography game if it didn't look great, and it looks very good. But I am concerned about performance. Even in one of the trailers, you could see the frame rate struggling. You also keep a scrapbook/journal of things that you capture, which allows you to take pictures or audio of anything, and then you can save anything you want also. I love that. I wonder if we will connect with the main character. Her voice is bland. On one hand, she sounds like someone who feels the weight of chronicling everything, but on the other hand, she doesn't sound like someone I want to talk to. She sounds like the most boring host of an NPR podcast. Siri sounds more interesting than her. And I hate saying it, I'm glad we got a black character, but we're gonna have to listen to her for hours. She doesn't sound interesting. But these are the kind of games Sony goes for, and I can see why they have faith in Scavenger Studio. This has potential written all over it, and I'm here for it. You should too. Season, A Letter to the Future, is coming to PC and PlayStation. Opening February 2nd is Deliver Us Mars, a story-driven adventure game developed by Kaioken Interactive and published by Frontier Foundry. The description reads, quote, "Deliver Us Mars is an atmospheric sci-fi adventure taking you on a suspense-fueled, high-stakes mission to recover the Ark colony ship stolen by the mysterious Outward," end quote. I'm conflicted when I look at Deliver Us Mars. I see a game that looks below AA level, but when you play Deliver Us the Moon, visuals are hardly the point. It's about puzzles, it's about discovery, but the developers are adding more action platforming in the vein of Tomb Raider, literally with the sickles, and it looks clunky, but that doesn't mean it won't be thought-provoking gameplay. We can only hope it plays better than it looks. You can count on an interesting story though. Deliver Us Mars continues the story after the events on the moon, and it sounds like it could be as dramatic, if not more dramatic. My concern is that the suspenseful gameplay, like what was in Deliver Us the Moon, is replaced with just suspenseful storytelling. I'm hoping we get both. I don't want to see Deliver Us Mars trade the old gameplay for more action to capture a bigger audience. If the developers stay in their lane, this should be excellent. Deliver Us Mars is coming to PlayStation and PC. Also coming February 2nd is an action game called Perish. It's developed by Item 42 and published by Handy Games. The back of the box description says, quote, "Perish is a stylish 1 to 4 player first-person shooter with a cross to bear. Slay hordes of creatures on the black sands of purgatory and sell their gold-stained corpses to craven priests. Kill magnificent bosses and use the proceeds to gain entrance to Elysium, a place of cosmic revelations," end quote. Perish is a clunky game. It's got graphics that look like they're trying so hard to be great, with lighting that bounces off layers and layers of gold. The animations look unrefined, but Perish has a lot of spirit behind it. If you look at the trailers, it doesn't look good, but thankfully there is a demo because it plays better than it looks. It's a tough roguelike that tries to put Hades in first person. Again, it's really clunky and not nearly as beautiful, but I can't deny how much fun I had zipping around and slashing heads. The flow feels good, and as you earn different upgrades after completing missions, you start to feel the potential. It's easy to ignore how C tier it feels. It's exhilarating, partly because enemies relentlessly chase you, but they also attack pretty slow, and while using a mouse, it's pretty easy to escape or maybe get an attack in. I can only imagine how crazy it gets when you're playing with multiple people because you can play up to 4. Parish isn't going to win any awards and is probably going to fly under the radar, but man, I had fun with it. It's that simple. I think you'll like it. Parish is coming to PC. Lastly, coming February 3rd, we have an indie action platformer called Helvetii, developed by Team Quaqua and co-published by Team Quaqua and Red Art Games. I really like saying Quaqua, it's so fun to say. The description reads, quote, Helvetii is a character action game set in Gaelic Celtic mythology. Challenge the ever-changing rot with 3 characters, use the gifts and powers bestowed by primal deities, and show your mastery of combat by pummeling, juggling, and slamming your enemies in a gorgeous 2D presentation, end quote. When a game feels this good to play, it feels good to play. Helvetii has that. You can mash your way through or get very precise with your combos. My only fear with this game is that there isn't enough combo variety to keep combat interesting. It feels like a game where once you find the optimal combo, which I was able to figure out because there is a demo, that's what you're going to use the whole time. I'm hoping stronger enemies and the number of enemies on screen force us to play with variety in order to deal with everything. And I hope it's not a game that promotes combos but then forces you to abandon them all because it's not balanced. I do wish the areas you travel through were a bit more maze-like. I never felt lost, and I'm not sure that's the point, but I'd like more care taken in developing discovery. It makes it feel too obvious that they want you to engage in combat, and if that were the case, just stick us in a wave-based arena. I have my concerns that Helvetii won't live up to its full potential since there are only 4 developers and they're already working on their next game. Maybe they're done with Helvetii, but when your mind is split in those ways, without the proper resources, something will suffer. But I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they figured out how to handle it, but I can't help but wonder. Helvetii is a beautiful game with a lot of upside. It's surely a game you're gonna want to spend some time on. Helvetii is coming to PC, PlayStation, and Linux. That ends January and begins February. If you are just checking out the watch list for the first time or you've watched multiple episodes, please give some feedback. My aim is to help you find new games and figure out where you should spend your time. Please be honest with any feedback, but also be kind about it. I'm not out here trying to create crap, even if you think it is. You know how YouTube works. You know where to comment. Tap whatever thumb you like, but more importantly, subscribe and tap the bell icon so you won't miss the next video dropping next Saturday. I'll talk to you next week.